If you hear weird bird noises, I don't know, man. I moved to this new apartment and I live next to this big tree, and I swear I hear all sorts of weird bird noises. Like it's almost like a new one every day. No bullshit. And it's like different times of the day. At nighttime you hear a certain type of bird call, and in the middle of the day you hear a certain type of bird call. So like if you hear a bunch of just noises and stuff, I swear it's not the captives that I have in my basement. When you hear that term, like a jack of all trades is a master of none, like that's one of my favorite sayings. I've read that that wasn't even the intention of the original quote. The original quote not only was longer, it got bastardized over the years, but also it meant something completely else from what I heard. But that's a whole different other subject, right? Usually when you hear a jack of all trades is a master of none, what it means is just like when you try to do too many things all at once, you never really get good at any of them. You're not, well, you might get good, but you won't excel. But if you just study one thing, you become really good at that thing, like a specialist. Bellwright is a jack of all trades, but a master of mostly all of them, if that makes any sense. Like, it does so many things. It's a city builder, colony builder. You control NPCs. It's open world. You can do like mini sieges, control NPCs, and fight other NPCs in this like warlike environment. It has crafting, hunting. Like it does so much, so many different things, and they're all good. They all check out. It's an early access game, so you got to give it some sort of leeway. Of course, I'm not saying just because it has EA in the title, you could just let them get away with a terrible product, especially when you're investing with money. It's all right to hold EA games accountable for, maybe some deceptive practices or, false advertisement, which seems to happen a lot. Give me 1 second. I don't know if you heard that. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, so overall, it is a game that pretty much does a bunch of things and do it well. There's not nothing in this game mechanically, like mechanic wise, I can say goes, this could use a little more work. I'm sure you can nitpick and say that some things like crafting could use less steps, and you know, that's fine. But I still think that's nitpicking. All in all, like I spent maybe close to 30 hours. I'm gonna say like I'll tell you exactly how many. It's right here on my face. Okay, 24 hours, 24.1. That is more than enough time to basically give you a good gist of the game, right? Of course, when it comes to big complex games like this, where it involves a lot of crafting, a lot of building, it's nowhere near enough time. 24.1 hours is nowhere near enough time. However, it is enough time to make a pretty solid review. I wouldn't say in depth because there are such things as end game, and God knows when the end game is coming. Unless you make a beeline towards the story line, which there is one here, and somebody said it in one of the comments actually, which I thought was pretty accurate. They said that the like Bellwright, but basically they play it safe. Then he didn't say this in these exact words; these are my words. Like he was saying that like all of the quests as well as the main storyline, it's been done before. It's pretty safe. It's pretty believable, and it's enjoyable. And I was like that. I like the way that sounds because they didn't reinvent the wheel. They just, kind of just made a new version of the wheel. And, they didn't take credit for it. They didn't go, oh my God, we're fucking Picassos. Look at us. We invented another round thing. They were kind of just like, yeah, we see so and so done this before. We're going to do it our own way. Kind of like, if I was talking to a coworker about this, I was like, kind of like, like you could tell both of us. Like art teacher can tell me and my coworker to paint an apple, and even though it's the same object, it's the same fruit, it'll look completely different because we have two different art styles. That's how I feel like Bellwright is. Like um what the fuck was I just talking about? Oh yeah, the storylines and the quests, right? Like they've been done before and possibly better. Like revenge stories have been done better. This is basically what this is. This is a borderline revenge story. And but it's been done decently. I think it's interesting that a lot of the voice acting is done by AI too, which overall sounds not too bad. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes you can hear some NPCs talk and they sound like semi-robotic, but it's not super noticeable unless you're paying attention to it. Like, they got down the old. I don't know what you call that old medieval accent. I know there's a particular name for it, but I don't know it. Besides old English accent, I guess. I don't know, but it even has that down pack. But overall, very impressive. Although that's a slippery slope, right? You know, like I know there's like a disclaimer on Bellwright's page saying that event right now it's using AI generated voices for their NPCs, but over time they will hire actors and I'm assuming pay them to do the voice lines, all of the voice lines for the game. And I don't know if that's like something that they feel kind of pressured to do because maybe in the business of video games, it's very close to the business of acting. Like video games and acting go hand in hand, believe it or not. Like even back in the day, you had celebrities endorse video games all the time, and actors endorse video games all the time, and even actors appearing in video games as like playable characters or some sort of a cameo or whatever the case may be. So Hollywood and video gaming hand in hand. And from what I understand, there's I mean, I haven't looked into it recently, but I know at one point it was like this big controversy surrounding AI acting, whether it's voice acting, whether it's like using some sort of CGI or using some sort of like taking a actor that you pay, taking his likenesses and pretty much using their likenesses as like a background character for these minor roles in movies. That way that actor doesn't physically have to be there. They just basically surrender their likenesses, and then now, whoever can create CGI, the programmers and stuff, they can ultimately add the likeness of that same paid actor into dozens of movies, probably hundreds of movies. And from what I understand, even like Bruce Willis, correct me if I'm wrong, I think he ended up like selling his voice and his likeness to like companies in the future so they can use him in projects. And like because I think he has some sort of a voice issue, or he's having his health is deteriorating from what I understand. So and Bellwright, or you're probably wondering what the fuck that has to do with Bellwright, but like to my knowledge, um yeah, I don't know if they're paying these actors and not just sticking with the AI, maybe because they don't feel the quality is as good. Maybe that's it. Or maybe they feel like, they're kind of pressured, like, hey, that's not right. You should really pay actors for that. Like, you know what I mean? Kind of like Hollywood strong arming them. I don't know, man. I'm just trying to figure it out. I have no idea what's going on, but whatever. That's an interesting part about it. I will tell you that the AI voice generated acting is not that bad. You know, it doesn't compare to actual voice acting. You know what I mean? Like, because AI is only getting better at this point. But I know for certainty that as time goes on, maybe 5, 10 years from now, it's going to be indistinguishable. I really believe that. I believe in just a short, in our lifespan, if you're listening to this now, assuming you're not like 100, in our lifespan, I think that a human voice would be indistinguishable from an AI voice. I really do. I don't think that sounds far fetched at all, right? So, yeah, this game does a bunch of things at once, and a lot of them work. I kind of made a small mistake into thinking that like this is going to be kind of like a Mountain Blade Siege type game. You kind of build an army and you go and you take over bandit camps and all that. And Bellwright does exactly that. It does. It really does. But first, there's a lot of preparation involved, meaning you just can't pick up a stick from the ground and then run in a bandit camp and kill 4 bandits yourself with said stick, right? It's not gonna work that way. What the fuck, man? I don't know if it's birds now or someone breaking in my house. Jesus Christ, man, easy. So yeah, you need a lot of preparation. You need to go poach villagers from a village. They already live in a village, a much better village, by the way. And you have to convince them, like, hey, come live in my shitty startup village. Leave your comfortable village that happens to be next to my shitty startup village, right? And then come live with me in poverty until I get my shit straight. And then, you can say that you were a part of my village. That's what I'm offering to. That's Bellwright. It's great. It really is. Combat I combat seems to be a sore spot for some people in this game. And at first I was a little upset because I understand that it's difficult and it, this is something that I would say. Am I still recording? I haven't even checked the last 10 minutes. Okay. I will say this that directional combat, like even the developers of this game have said it themselves. They said directional combat is kind of like a niche, Niche, niche. It's kind of like a little niche in combat, right? Because most of the time you got like, you know, tab combat or tab based combat or whatever. You got the targeted combat. You got the type of combat that you see like in, Assassin's Creed or Ghost of Tsushima or shit, even, Arkham Knight or Arkham Asylum. Like you have so many different combat styles, and this one is directional based, meaning it's you can block up, you can block down, you can block left, you can block right. So like if you see an enemy doing an overhand strike, then you have to block right before the enemy hits you, which I enjoy because it's skill based. It no longer becomes skill based when you have three enemies going, trying to beat your ass at one shot. That's when it just becomes, another person in the comments I think said a perfect description. He called them murder balls. So it's kind of funny, but it is true. If you have a murder ball, meaning like three or four people of a squad, and you see two people coming at you, they can still have a large advantage if they have better armor, better weapon. If they're better equipped overall, they can withstand more blows and also hit harder. So you might be surprised that he might take out most of you guys. Most of you, two guys can take out maybe four or five guys, but I think ultimately they will fall. These armored clad guys will fall because just of numbers, just strength in numbers. And I guess you can say that's the way real life is, right? Like you could take the most skilled person in that army, but if you have seven people that are fully armed about to, fight this one dude, what are the chances this one dude's gonna live? He's got to be like on some like mythical god shit if he's gonna take down seven guys with a sword who are heavily armored. Like that's some fantasy shit. I'm not saying that it didn't happen. I'm positive there was a dude out there back then, some medieval badass with like fucking, the first type of syphilis, just wrecking his body, and he's doing like acrobatics off trees and shit, and stabbing people with branches. Like I'm pretty sure that's a thing, but you know, let's be real. How many of those do you see nowadays, or probably ever? But combat. Some people, this is what I have a problem with, right? Like, I like it. I personally like skill based fighting because it, 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 it makes you get better, right? Like, I want to get better. They just added a new update recently where you can spar with your villagers. So you can just beat your villagers up when they're trying to survive. They're like hungry and shit, and they're over there foraging for berries. And I keep like, hey, don't eat. Let me beat you. And, I'm their master, so they have to obey. It's fun. It's fun to practice. It's I love to see the sparks when you it's like, oh, I love that. Like both of you guys are just clanging and banging. It feels good. It feels good. And I some people I feel are a little dishonest because it is skill based and it's difficult. I believe some people just hate on it. They just go, I fucking hate it. I hate this type of combat style. It's the worst part of the game. And that's probably because they suck at it. Now, I'm not saying everyone's like that because this type of fighting style is not for everyone. Maybe people want something a little more modern, a little more dynamic, a little more mainstream. But like, I think it fits perfectly with Bellwright because Bellwright is a difficult game by nature for the most part. Although the eating is optional in this game, meaning that you won't die of starvation and uh basically it's like if you've played Valheim, food is just and I'm assuming enshrouded and I don't know, where eating just gives you buffs, but you don't actually start losing energy if you don't have food. You can just fucking go days without eating. In one way that's realistic and in one way it isn't, right? Like if you play a game like DayZ, if you go hungry for one day you start dying. That's not realistic, right? You there's people that lived like almost a full week without food. Longer from what I heard. You know what I mean? I think it's water. Sorry, I got that confused with water. I think you can't go longer than a week without water and then dying. And I think food, I think people have done some crazy shit. Like I don't even want to say the times because I'm gonna sound like a child, right? Like, he went like 2 years without food. That just sounds like a kid's making shit up. But I know people can go a really long time without food, but a little amount of time with water, whatever. I can kind of see it through that way. Maybe I'm overthinking it like I usually do with everything. Girls don't like that because they want to be the overthinkers. Haha. So I don't know. I think it's kind of realistic because you won't die of starvation the first day. But if it's like a week and you haven't ate, I'm like, yeah, you would think you would, my guy would be pretty uncomfortable considering, I'm beating up my own villagers and also I'm out there trying to, plunder and raid other bandit establishments and I haven't ate in a week, but yet I'm swinging fucking double-handed axe, all day long. Like you would think, like, hey man, God's gonna come collect me soon. I can't keep this up, man. I got no input. All I'm doing is output. So yeah, I feel like some people need to be a little more honest or at least a little more clear. Like I'm once again, I like it personally. I like the system, but I can also see how someone doesn't like it. And I hate that because it sounds like I'm trying to cop out, and I don't like that. I don't like people that cop out. Like those people, right? Like you ever seen those phone videos that like I don't watch them anymore like that, but like MKBHD, I can't fucking remember his name. Marquise, fuck. I don't know the guy, the fucking dude that does the reviews. He does a lot of tech reviews. I like that guy. Well, him, he, what was it? Him? No, no, scratch that. A terrible fucking example. First of all, because he'll tell you if he doesn't like something, which I appreciate. Bad example. Scratch that. What I am trying to say is that I've seen cell phone reviews on YouTube. And a lot of them take the easy way out by going like, "Is this phone for you?" Well, it depends. What kind of person are you? But I like people that tell you straight up, like, "Look, man, this phone isn't good, and here's the reasons why." And then you look at his reasons, and then you tell yourself, you go, "Do I even care about any of that?" You know what I mean? Like if I don't, then I'm gonna buy this phone. You know what I mean? Like, give me the pros and cons of the phone, and let me be the judge whether I like it or not. That can go two ways too, right? If you tell me something sucks, and then you give me your reasons as to why it sucks, and I don't think those reasons are good enough, then I'm like, well, you shouldn't be saying this phone sucks because those are pretty nitpicky reasons. I've seen that also. I've seen a lot of reviewers nitpick. I'm like, come on, dog. Like you putting this particular quality of a phone on the cons list when it's not that big of a deal. At least to me, it ain't. Is that I don't know if they're mowing a lawn or a fucking jet is gonna drop a bomb on me. Oh yeah, dude decided to. Dude, look, man. For all of those who live in the suburbs, man, I don't know how you guys do it, man. Just the other day, I went outside just to get some sun because I was cooped up in the house all day, right? I sat down in front of my apartment and it was three different lawnmowers going. Like one was on my left side, one was on my right side, one was in front of me. And I was just sitting there, just smiling with 360 audio of just three different lawnmowers. It was driving me crazy. And now, look what time is it, dude? It's 5 o'clock, right? And this dude decides to mow the lawn right next to where I'm recording. Not to my left side, where there's a bunch of other lawns, or to the front of me, to the right side where my PC is, as well as my little audio setup, which is not even a setup at all. It's just a headset. Whatever. That's not the point. I'm poor. Point is, why? I don't know if you can hear that. You probably can. I hope you don't. But if you do, you understand why. That's fucking annoying. And I got all my fans off, and it's in the middle of the summer because if I turn my fans on, the wind's gonna hit the microphone, and you probably ain't gonna be able to hear me. Which is probably a good thing for you because you're fucking probably tired of hearing me rambling. I like Bellwright. It's a good game. Give me 1 second. All right, hello. All right, I said hello. Like if you're gonna go hi. Oh Jesus. I didn't even mute it that entire time. Oh man, what if I like farted or something? So all in all, I give the game an 8 out of 10. Right? My biggest complaint with Bellwright is not really the mechanics or anything like that. Two. One is a minor complaint. Oh my god, bro. One is a minor complaint, and the other is a major one. The major one would be optimization. This game does not run well. It runs well enough, but overall, like, not good. It's very choppy. Frames drop all the time. When shit pops up, doesn't look well. You know what I mean? Like, it sometimes it pops up out of nowhere. Um, on medium settings, I have a rig that's more than capable to run this. It's beyond the recommended settings. At least to my knowledge, it is. I know I don't have no. I got like a mid-tier computer. I've said my specifications before. So yeah, like that's my biggest problem. It does not run well. I once again, that's an EA thing, right? Like there's early access, so I'm thinking like, okay, let me, give it some time. It still needs some time to boil. Boil? I should say cook. Boil sounds weird. That's my biggest one. My second one would be slow. Now, this is like I said earlier about how cell phone reviewers would put a certain trait of a phone that they don't like on a cons list. And many times I'm looking at that cons list and I'm like, why the fuck is that there? That's not a big deal. This should be on the cons. I'm putting this on the con list, but you should look at it and go, yeah, I don't know. I don't think that's a big deal. It's supposed to be that type of game. Slow. The game is slow. Meaning that, like I said earlier, you can't just pick up a stick and go raid shit, right? You have to sit in your camp. You have to craft. You have to build this type of bench. And if you played open world survival crafting games, then you would know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't do anything without actually creating some sort of a, you know, establishment, some sort of a village. And it takes a while. And I'm playing with my friend, and she's liking it. I'm liking it. I still do. I uninstalled the game. That's kind of weird, right? For me to go, I like this game so much, I uninstalled it. I only uninstalled it because I wanted to go back and play ESO and also Destiny 2, which maybe I'll review that in the future because I just started playing it now. It's a fun shooter. Destiny 2 is like junk food. I it's too early for me to. Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll let you know how long I've been playing it. I played it on PC for sorry, I played it on PlayStation 4 for about a week. So I do have some time with it, and now I just started. I had it for about a few days. So far for PC, I only logged in. How many hours I got here? Where is it? I know you're here somewhere. 8.1 hours. So me and my friend are playing it. We're enjoying it. We were both like, every time we finish a session, we look at each other and we go, "Did you enjoy that?" And she always gives me a look like she doesn't know. And me too. And I'm just like, we both say the same thing. We like the shooting, but like substance wise, it feels like junk food, right? Tastes good, but there's no substance. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to put more time in this shit because it is an MMO, right? So that's why it's too early for me to say. I'm gonna reserve my full judgment. But in the meantime, it's a fun shooter, and that's all I can say about it. That's the only thing I can say about it. The only pro that I can give it. Hopefully that'll change over time because I am gonna give it more time. I enjoy it. As a matter of fact, once I'm done playing this, I'm gonna jump in and just shoot shit. Maybe I'll run into some sort of a mission with substance or some sort of a mechanic where I can go, cool, this is what's gonna keep me playing. But I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll have to see about that. So, yeah, I would recommend for $30 to buy Bellwright. Absolutely, it's worth every penny, man. Like you can get mad replayability out of it. They're constantly updating the game. Um, I heard complaints about the developers of this game, particularly abandoning other games. I'm not concerned with that. Um, I should be, to be honest with you, because that is a valid concern, right? Like you don't want to invest the money into something and then just, have the developers go, see ya, and start a whole new other title, and then you just, wasted your money. That sucks. But honestly, I'm gonna be real with you, $30 ain't a big deal to me because I'm filthy rich. No, actually, I'm poor, but that's not the point. The point is, I can afford $30. You know, obviously, if I can afford a fucking PC and to be able to play regularly, I can afford $30. So it's no, dude. I've spent more than $30 in food before, like in one shot, just me. So it's like, that's the way I see it. I'm like, even if the developer stopped the development of Bellwright today, yes, I would be upset. Well, maybe not upset. I would be annoyed. That's the better word. But like the way I saw it, it's like, oh, I had my fill. Like that was a good appetizer. Maybe I shouldn't look at it like that. I should look at it like, because this is supposed to be a long term investment, and it'll be a smart one. I can't predict the future, but if I was a gambling man, I would gamble they are not going to abandon this game. A, because there's fucking crazy potential in this game. It is fun, even though I think it's a little slow. and the optimization is crappy. Those are small complaints in the long terms of things, right? And if we're playing the long game, that's pretty good. It's not, I'm not saying like I could be saying that the combat is unfair, which it can be. Don't get me wrong. If you get like the guy said online, one of the reviewers, he said if you get murder balled, you can basically say that the game's unfair. And true, but you probably shouldn't be fighting a bunch of people if you're just one dude. You should probably have like a big squad before you go take out any type of bandit encampment, even if it's a 3-4 bandit encampment. Like if it's only like a population of 4 or 5 bandits, you should definitely have like 6, 7 people for sure. Have some archers too. Those guys do some nice damage. Yeah, like I don't think so. I think there's too much potential, and I think there's so much time. Well, sorry, that's not what I meant to say. Not time. There's you would be a fool to stop investing in this little gem called Bellwright. That it is a gem, and you don't even have to dust it off. You can see that it's a gem in the what is it called, a diamond in the rough. Like while this diamond is in the rough, you can tell it's a diamond from far away. It might be a little dusty, but you can tell it's a diamond. Like this game, it's got a lot going on for it, and it's gonna be fucking awesome in the future if they keep at it. If they fix some issues, and once they start expanding the map, adding more mechanics, adding more weapons. I heard that they eventually want to have an entire siege system, similar to Warband. I only played Warband for a few. I enjoyed it, but kind of like that. That's fucking cool, and that's coming. They would be fools to let this potential go to waste. They really would. And if I was a gambling man, like I said earlier, I don't think they would. I would bet that they're going to continue developing this game. So I wouldn't worry too much if you're one of those people that, or you're screaming at the top of the rooftops that they've abandoned games before, and most likely they're going to abandon this. Like, I don't think there should be too much of a worry. Once again, I'm not a fucking fortune teller. I don't have a crystal ball in front of me, right? Maybe they will. Maybe I'm talking all this shit, and as I'm saying it, they're just like, "Yep, we're done." And I'm like, "Fuck, I just recorded this." Who knows? But I don't think they are, man. I really don't. Setting it's medieval times. I hate to say it, but like literally, once again, like the little analogy that I used earlier, where they didn't reinvent the wheel, they just made like a cooler version of the wheel. That's basically what it's a medieval town. Graphics are doable depending on your settings. I think when you put the quality, the if you put the upscaling quality to ultra, if your computer can run it, right? You can even put it on medium settings. Everything else can be on medium, but the upscaling quality, if you put it up to ultra, you'll see the game look beautiful. Other than that, it looks a little fuzzy because the upscaling is not the greatest, and it's also an EA title, so that I'm pretty sure they're still working on that. But all in all, it looks pretty good. It's fucking typical copy and paste medieval setting. I hate to say it, like I don't mean that as a disrespect, but as a disrespectful shot, but it is true. Like the villages don't stand out, the green grass don't stand out, the mountains don't stand out, the wolves that you can hunt don't stand out, the deer that you can. They're all done well. They're all done well. There's nothing in the game setting wise that I can say like, whoa, this is the one thing I will say that looks fucking cool is when it's raining. You see like the storm clouds in the background and it looks fucking menacing, right? That's cool. I will say that. Fucking winter happens like every 5 days, which is unrealistic. But at the same time, you want to like have some sort of diversity when it comes to the weather. So I can see why they kind of put it on fast track for the seasons to grow so quickly. But I like it. I think it works. You get used to it. Winter is a little harder for the forage things because there's no berries and nothing like that growing, obviously, because it's winter. So you got to kind of stockpile for the winter, which is cool. It's also realistic. Yeah, it's that's another thing I wanted to say quickly before I jump out is when it comes to realism, this game has a lot of it down packed. Of course, it's not 100% realistic because any game that's 100% realistic is, it's not going to be the most fun. And sometimes Arma 3 has taught me this. Sometimes realism doesn't always translate to it being fun. Like Arma's fun as hell. It's one of the best video games I've ever played in my life. Arma 3. Reforged is good too, but Arma 3, I hold that dear in my heart. And I can tell you now, as realistic as that game can be, it's not always fun. Like getting shot from somewhere you don't know, that's extremely frustrating. That's one of my biggest issues with Arma. It's just like, it's basically the who the fuck shot me and from where simulator. That's basically what it is. But anyways, that's a big example of whenever I, people who like more realistic games, I always bring that up. Like that doesn't always translate to fun, but it can be fun in its own way. Um, yeah, remember if you are thinking about picking this game up, it does a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot to a lot of genres blended into one. But guess what? It does all of the genres very well. Definitely above average, which is awesome, right? That's kind of hard to pull off, but they've done it. I think this game has ridiculous amounts of potential, and I can't wait to see it being further developed if they further developed it. If they further develop it, which once again I think they will. Good stuff, good investment. Grab it if you can. And if it's on sale, man, that's a no-brainer, man. You ever see this game on sale? Don't even think about it, man. Just do it. All right. See you guys later. Peace.